All right, boys, welcome in. Take it to the bank. Week 9 of the NASCAR season, brought to you by Nuke the House. I am joined, as always, by Keg and Mr. Cooper. If you are new, I'd like to say thanks for dropping by. And if you like what we got going on here, consider joining the free Discord and the Patreon as well. Link should be in the description below. So last week, we hopped on Willie B Live, 12-1, Martinsville. I guess, is there any thoughts or comments about last week's race outside of, short track racing may be dead?
Short track racing is dead, for sure. Until they put some more horsepower in that car, it's dead. And unless you can get the lead on a late restart, you basically have no shot to drive up to the lead. So, I mean, it was good to see Chase Elliott run up front. We had basically everybody running in the top 6. We got on Byron at 12-1. I had a bunch of action, so I personally only ended up making about 4.5 units off the race. Coop might have did better than I did, but all in all, profit's profit. We'll take it, keep it moving.
Coop, you in the same bucket?
Yeah, the short track package is not good. They continue to try to change things with the tires and the car and et cetera, and it's just not working. So, they're getting beat up on the horsepower piece. They don't want to give in. They think they can fix it, but they haven't been successful at it so far. So, how long does it go until they just give in? And I don't know. I mean, the horsepower piece, people say, it'll make it better and all this and all that. But it'll make the racing better, but I think it's just going to crush, the mid-level to smaller teams.
Do you think that they have a shot right now?
I think they have more of a shot right now than what they have if they add more horsepower, yes.
Okay. Well, you're kind of our NASCAR historian. I'd say Keg probably somewhere in there, but you're probably a little more. Have you ever seen a more public outcry from drivers and influential figures to fix the car?
Not that I can recall off the top of my head, no.
It seems like it's a public thing, and it feels like, looking this week through Twitter and everywhere else, that NASCAR finally admits that they have an issue, that they have to open everything up, basically. Outside of horsepower, they're willing to do a lot more.
The last thing that I can remember that is even remotely close to this was in the mid-90s. They were thinking about making some kind of restrictor plate change, and there were drivers that didn't like it. But I mean, other than that, no, I've never heard. And you know what? Shout out to Denny Hamlin for leading the charge and just continually talking about how bad this package is. Also, shout out to Happy Harvick, because he talks about it all the time and tells the fans exactly what has to be done in order for the changes to be made that we need. But
Junior too.
Yep, Junior too. Yep.
Right. Yeah, it feels like they need another body of people to kind of weigh in on this. But I don't know. Hopefully they can get things straightened out, because what we have right now is just, it's, there's positives for us, right? Because it's less chaotic, because we saw how bad it could be with Bristol, right? But from a betting side of things, predictability is never a bad thing if you're on the right side.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And the props treated us well. We hit both the groups. We hit the matchup. It was good to get on the right side of props, because they haven't been great this year. But
right.
They got to make changes to that short track package in order for. The problem is when you're on the nuts in this package, you're in phenomenal shape. But when you're not on the nuts, there's just absolutely no shot for the guy that you're on to drive up into contention. And that's the big change, I think, for bettors and this package. So, yeah,
Yeah,
looking
or
forward to them.
passing into pit road, right? Pit road passing is about where you're going to be.
Right. Or a late
I
restart.
mean, the only good thing about last week was like we spotted Willie B at the beginning of the race having a lot of speed, doing well.
Well, he was the
And,
only guy moving.
Yeah, so that was the only good thing about that race.
Yeah, we got him at a decent number. I was just overexposed.
Yeah, it makes it nice or it makes it easier to point out cars that are moving because there's so few. But again, you got to get out and pass some people, and it's always tough. So this week we're at Texas Motor Speedway for the AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400. The standard intermediate 1.5 mile, low tire wear. So we're looking at what you say comps would be Vegas, Kansas, Charlotte.
Texas.
That's where we're at.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Is there another one in there that I'm not thinking of? Atlanta, right? But Atlanta's not.
It's more of it's got a restriction plate right now.
Right.
Super Speedway.
Exactly. Or is that it, Coop? Or are they down to 4, like normal cookie cutter ovals? Because you can't count Pocono. Michigan's a weird 2-mile track. Is it just those 4?
You got Vegas, Kansas, Texas, Charlotte,
and that's it. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yep. Okay, so high level manufacturer wise, where do you guys kind of just rank them going into this week?
Fucking Yeg. My hopes and dreams rest on a guy that doesn't know where we're at. I know where we're at, man. I just got my throat ripped out. What do you mean? Yeah, to me this race is very simple. Now,
did you say this race is very simple?
Yeah. That's what he said, Coop. But he also didn't know where we were. So
to me this race is very simple. I think within a 95% certainty, I could tell you who the 10 best cars in this race are going to be. The problem is finding the guy out of those 10 that's going to win the race, because I think that there are 3 Chevys that can win this race, maybe a 4th if you even remotely think that Elliott can continue the momentum and maybe he's back. But if not, I'll say that there are 3 Chevys that could win. I think there are 3 Fords that can win. And then I think every legitimate Toyota is live if they happen to have the Toyota. Although I'll say that, a couple other, I think there are Toyotas that we can identify that we think will be strongest, but anyone that has the whip could show up. And to me, it's that simple. There are 3 Fords, there are 3 Chevys, and then there is Toyota. I mean, is that not where you're at, Coop?
Can you name me the 10 drivers, please?
Yeah, Chastain, Byron, and Larson, Buscher and Keselowski, Denny, Marty, Bubba, Reddick. Is that 10?
You didn't say Blaney in the Fords? You got to put Blaney in there.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would add Blaney in there to be live. The 3 Fords would be Keselowski, Blaney, Buscher.
Well, you're at 11, so you have to eliminate somebody.
What a ball buster! Can't give him one.
You can't give me fucking 11.
No, you said 10.
All right, I'll take out. If I had to take somebody out of that group, it would probably be Ryan Blaney.
Right,
you
so
leave
Larson,
Buscher,
Byron,
Kez,
Hamlin, Chastain, Buscher, Kez, Denny, Marty, Bubba, Reddick.
Is that not where you're at? How far off from that are you, legitimately?
I mean, I don't think I can put Buscher and Kez in that group.
Yeah, did you not say Ross?
Yeah, I said Ross.
Yeah.
You don't think that you don't think that after somewhere in that mix, like who are you gonna like? Let's say you put Toyota and Chastain, Larson, Byron in a group ahead of everybody. Who's going to be next? Is RFK and Blaney not going to be next before? I mean, maybe you can throw Joey in there to hit the back end of the top 10 if you want to, but like, I mean, who else are you going to pick? Like the two Toyotas that we're not talking about, Gibbs and Bell. If their Toyota happens to be the one that shows up and is really strong, they could also be in the mix, obviously. But I mean, are you not going to put RFK like somewhere right immediately after them? Who are you going to pick?
Oh, I mean, I would put Bell and Gibbs in front of Buescher and Kez.
I think I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument, sure, because Toyota's going to be strong, and if they happen to be the one that, but the thing is, bro, I can't bet fucking Ty Gibbs anymore. I can't bet that kid until he wins a race, Coop.
How much plus money are you going to give me on this bet? You're taking the 10 top cars. What's my number for the rest of the field?
I don't know. I mean, what are you talking about? What bet?
Plus 2,000?
That
for the field against the top 10 cars?
The 10 best cars, in his opinion.
Oh, you're saying the field against the 10 guys
what are you
that
giving
I
him
picked?
the field against your drivers?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I'd give you 20 to 1.
Okay.
Why? Because
are you that far off from where his 10 drivers are?
No, but I mean, I could see Gibbs, I could see Bell, I could see Blaney, I could see Logano.
Yeah, that I think that's why the number's 20 to 1 and not 80
right.
to 1.
So if we're talking what you just said, 3, and then Toyota, right? If it sounds like if you were just to rank the manufacturers in a whole, would you say it's clearly Chevy, Toyota, and then Ford?
I don't know, like Ryan Blaney could be. I could see a spot where he's super strong. I could see Keselowski and Buescher showing up, but yeah, I would rank Toyota and the two HMS cars probably equally, and then I would put Ross probably on the tail end of that, and then Ford.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really not Chevy. It's really just HMS, right?
Yeah, and Chastain.
Because Larson really skews things.
Yeah, half HMS. I mean, Coop, where are you at on Bowman and Elliott this week?
I think it's a really big week for the two of them. I think they've been closing the gap on Larson and Byron. There's still, a decent sized gap between the two of them. But I think this race is going to answer a lot. Elliott hasn't been very good in this 1.5-mile package in this car, even when he was, pre-injury and things of that nature. And Bowman, we'll see. He's been up and down. Prior to his injury, he was really good too. So I think it's a really big race for the two of them because I think if, one or the other or even both come out and, have a really good race, it's going to do a lot for their confidence based upon, how they've been racing here recently, which is much better than what they were at the beginning of the year and obviously last year. So I just don't know. I think if I had to choose between the two, I would back Bowman before Elliott just because of Elliott's not great history in this car on the 1.5 miles.
I could buy that.
But again, Could they win? Who knows? Maybe. Sure. Possibly. I mean, I'll take them at 20-1 in that group. I think they have as much chance to win as Blaney and Logano. Put it that way.
I think Blaney has a better chance to win than all of them.
So,
but yeah, I get it. I kind of think like.
Would you bet Ryan Blaney at what is he at 9-1 this week?
No.
I don't know.
He's 8-1 on Caesars right now.
But like, I agree with everything that you said. But my gut says that Elliott continues to build momentum.
Good.
And shows up.
Good.
Maybe not a winning car, but shows up.
Okay. Is it ironic that Hendrick runs 1, 2, 3 at the Hendrick 40th anniversary at Martinsville? I mean,
no, it's not. I told you they were going to run good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the script came in, right? Just like you drew it up. So I guess we got to get the Kyle Larson thing out of the way, right? Your odds-on favorite at 4-1 to you might be able to find a 5-1 out there, right? If you go back, if you're using Vegas as a comp, if you go back to last year, if you go back to the Vegas race this year, he was first or second in total speed rankings across all segments. If you go back to the Vegas race of 2023, he was first or second in all speed rankings. If you go back to the Texas race from last year, he was first in every speed ranking. So, I mean, he earned the number, right?
Yeah, he should be the favorite, and he's the one guy this week that I think that has a chance to absolutely put this field to bed. Like I could see it for sure.
Should he be the favorite at 4-1 though?
I mean,
that's more of the state of NASCAR betting in 2024.
Right. In 2024, I mean, what should he be? 5.5? But we're 6, but we're not going to get that. I mean,
right.
Yeah. He would have walked away with this race last year. He had a 6-second lead on the field in stage 2. He has a late restart with Bubba. Bubba takes the air off him. He goes right in the wall with 12 to go.
If you're betting the outright market, I mean, it's impossible to not have a piece of him because he can crush the field.
And you can't bet him straight and expect to make moves during the race if you have to.
Right. And like we were talking about earlier, I think if you're at the point where you're going to say Kyle Larson has a great shot to win the race, then the guy that picks up the pieces anytime he fucks up, Will Byron, you have to mention him. He probably – now, do I think he can go out there and put the field to bed? I don't think so. But, I mean, if he's the guy that has the Hendrick car this week, then he could lead 150 laps in this race. But my gut says it's probably Larson. But, I mean, yeah, I think you have to take Byron almost as seriously. If I was going to rank my top 3 guys, it would be Larson, Byron, and Denny, and their top 3 in odds. So,
yeah, and I think if we go back to, last year's race at Texas, it was the hottest race that they've ever had there. So, I mean, there was a lot of tire parity. There was a lot of wrecks based on tires and just random cautions. But Larson started outside the top 10, and we hit him, and there was a handful of drivers. Him, KB, and Ross were the biggest movers by the time there was green flag pit stops. You just identified Larson had a strong car all day. And then it was only better when he got into clean air. He was able to pass people high. He could pass people low. I mean, he was running in a separate groove than everybody else. His car was just that much better. Does that continue? I don't know. It translates obviously over to the Vegas race that we had this year. But the one thing that I remembered about the Vegas race this year was that Byron was fast too, right? But then he had that plastic bag or that trash bag that got caught on his grip, and he had to go to the back and never drove through the field again.
No, you're right.
So I think if I look at the Vegas race this year, in the first segment where Byron was out there in front, he was the second in green flag speed, right behind Kyle Larson, and then he got plastic bag, and he just never recovered.
Where at Texas last year?
No, at Vegas this year.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I mean, Byron was really, just as fast as Larson in the first stage of Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, at Texas last year, he was the fastest car late in the run. He was the second fastest car in fourth segment speed, and he had a rocket. He had a good car.
Well, it also helps that they have the best pit team so far this year too.
Yep.
Yeah, and if we see cautions and the stuff that like we saw in the Texas race last year, I mean, it probably only makes this case stronger.
Your one knock on Byron this week is he was basically 10th fastest car on the track at Vegas this year. Other than that though.
But that's what I was saying. He got the plastic bag on it.
Right.
He was second fastest when he was running clean lap behind Larson.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
So, yeah. And I don't. Do you think that 7-1 is a fair number on Byron? I don't know if there's a better number. I was looking on Caesar.
I mean, realistically, he probably should be like plus 850. But I mean, in this economy,
yeah, adjusting for books now.
Par for the course.
Right. So, going through, I'm just looking at Caesar for reference here. Your next favorite would be Tyler Reddick at 6-1. He's got lower odds than Denny and Will Byron.
What book are you looking at? Because
Caesars. I just have Caesars up.
Oh yeah, because I bet 365. Denny's third choice at 7.
Yeah, and he's third choice on Caesars too. Reddick's just 6-1 as your second favorite.
Yeah, Denny deserves to be the third choice. He's been the fastest Toyota like the last year and a half, I think, on mile-and-a-half tracks. So I think it's a no-brainer that he's your third choice.
But in what world does Tyler Reddick deserve to be 7-1?
Well, you know why that is.
What should he be? 12, 13?
Probably 12, yeah. But people, he had the best Toyota at Vegas. If he had one more lap in the race, he beats Kyle Larson. That's why he's 7-1. Do I think it's an overreaction? I do, but can he have that whip again this week? Absolutely, he could.
His car only got worse in the Texas race last year as the race went on. I know he led some laps because he chose to not come. They had a different pit strategy in the 2023 race, but
you know what? Between their tire issues in that race and how hot it was that day, I don't even look at that. I'm looking at Vegas this year, bro.
And he was good at Vegas, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was the second best car on the track. You can make the argument he was the best car on the track.
Yeah, if you look at the segments, he's faster than Larson the last half of the race.
Yeah, so that's why he's 7-1. Should he be? No, he should probably be like 10-12, I would say.
Right, but I mean, it's like the same story we heard like earlier this year. Like he was really good at Phoenix, and then when people bet him down at wherever it was, Martinsville or Bristol or whatever it was, he shit the bed.
Right.
And if you go back to the second Kansas race last year, Tyler Reddick was your fastest, right? If you're looking for, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that he should be your second favorite.
Oh, I agree with that.
There's nothing statistically that points that he should be anywhere in the top.
Yep. It's only because what they saw at Vegas.
Yeah, it's the Vegas rank. Yeah.
Totally.
It's not even that.
What do you mean it's not even that? It's 100% that. It's literally nothing else.
No, I mean, it's the fact that they took a couple bucks on him and decided to move his number down.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's what it all boils down to.
but where was he at open?
12-1 at Caesars.
Yeah, but for what? For how long?
Probably a minute.
Okay, so what was he actually at open?
12-1.
Coop. What
All right, we don't need to argue about Tyler
What could the
Reddick.
market at large get at open after the minute at Caesars when the number moved?
Oh, they moved them to 6-1 right away
Okay,
because they took a couple $100 on them.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know what's crazy? What's crazy is when you say they put a couple $100 on them, you're not that far off because you can only get down so much money on a NASCAR race on a Monday. Like, there are times that I can't even bet $1,000 to win on a driver on a Monday. Like, I'll have to spread it out throughout the week. So, like, I mean, I don't think you're that far off. But what's crazy is that kind of money is not it's not going to move the market like that. It's not going to move the market from 12-1 to 6-1.
Yeah, but who's betting those numbers, right? Like, who's sitting around on Monday refreshing their Caesars stream?
I mean, we all do that. I mean,
but I'm just talking about, like, they're not getting casual money on a Monday, which is probably why there's overreaction. What do you think?
Right. The money that's coming in on Monday is 90% sharp, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, what Caesars does is, like, you know, they'll take a couple $100 on a couple drivers, move them down immediately, and then they'll wait for about 2 or 3 hours. And the drivers that they don't have money on, they'll move up to try to get money on. That's what they do.
Yeah, and then Coop gets mad because then what their odds are, the other books open their odds based off of Caesars, and then the market's
Exactly.
because that's
They're definitely weighing the money coming in on Monday as basically all legitimate, I would think. But that's to cut the line in half on 1 minute's worth of action, everything I know about the business, that's not rationally possible.
And I mean, if you really look at it, they're hurting themselves because, like, all the drivers in the past couple weeks that they've cut haven't won.
Yeah, but that's coming off 4 or 5 weeks straight of the fucking dead nuts coming in every week at 4-1 or 5-1. I mean,
they would have made a lot more money.
All right.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So, you know, if we're looking at just, I guess, going down, we've already kind of talked about Denny Hamlin. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about with Denny?
No.
Okay. Then Denny and Byron have the same odds, and then we get into Blaney, which we kind of touched on before at 8-1. He's your first Ford here. It sounds like you were kind of on the fence, Keg, but do you think he should be your favorite Ford to win this week?
Probably. I just don't think the price is right. Like, I think he could win, but 9-1 is just crazy. Like, he shouldn't, because I think Brad Keselowski could also be good here. He could be top Ford easily, and he's 25-1 to win the race. And so is Buescher. So, like, Blaney to be 9-1 when both those guys could be top Ford, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, Blaney could be a player in the race, but not at that price. Pass.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I would probably bet 7 or 8 drivers before Ryan Blaney because of his price, for one thing. And then second, other than the Charlotte race, what mile and a half has he done well on?
None.
Yeah, he wasn't really all that great last year. He made up a lot of spots, just hit road strategy and stuff. And then, like you said, it's so hard to pass. It was so hard to pass here last year. He didn't have the nuts.
Well,
So,
he won the Charlotte race last year, didn't he?
Yeah, that's why I said other than the Charlotte race, what
Right.
mile and a half has he
well,
done?
I was talking about the Texas race. Like he just made up spots, strategy or whatever. But if I told you, like, would you rather take Blaney, Bell, or Bubba? Or would you rather take Bell at 12-1 or Bubba at 13-1 over Blaney at 8-1?
I would rather take Bubba probably at 13-1 before I would take Blaney at 8-1.
Like I don't know if I would take Brian Blaney at 20-1 this week.
Yeah, I mean, when Buescher and Keselowski are 25-1, don't you think he shouldn't be that far off?
Like I don't know, I just don't feel it for Ford in general.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think he should be like if Ty Gibbs is 18-1, Ryan Blaney should be 18-1. Like I think that's probably fair market value on him in this race.
I think I saw a stat this week that was saying that like Hendrick or JGR has won 7 of 8 races this year. Does that sound right?
Well, Suarez won a race and he's not them. Tyler Reddick hasn't won a race. Bubba hasn't won a race.
Byron's won 3.
Yeah, Larson's
so
won 1.
Probably
There's
right.
4.
Probably right. Then he's won 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, if you look at I was looking through total next gen speed ranks at Texas from 2022 to 2023, and Keg, I mean, you're right. I mean, Blaney was fast in 2022. He ranked 5th, and then he was 19th last year. But Kez has 2 better outings than him at 9 and 6.
Yeah, so, Keselowski could easily be the top 4 this week. Easily. So could Buescher.
Yeah, and Buescher ranks ahead of him as well. But the numbers on Buescher are a little screwed because he wrecked out at the end of stage 1, I think, in the Texas race last year. So the data's not complete. But
yeah,
So we're not really sold on Blaney at 8-1.
Correct.
All right, your next guy would be Marty at 10-1.
Yeah, I mean, Bell and Marty. I would put Marty ahead of Bell for sure. I think I'd bet Marty before I bet Bell. But yeah, the Toyota's going to be fast. 12-1, fair price.
Yeah, I don't mind Marty. I think his stats here are a little bit better than what his actual finishes are. He's had some not the greatest amount of luck here. So I wouldn't mind 12-1. I would prefer to bet JGR versus them individually, though, I think.
Yep. I agree.
Okay. We I don't know if we don't need to really talk too much about Bell in general. I would say, Bubba's sitting there at 13-1. Obviously had a really good car last year, started on the pole, led 60-some laps in stage 1. Was up there all day, ran in the top 5, had a really solid car. It seems like he just improves from year to year. What do you guys think about Bubba this week?
He's going to be fast.
Yeah, definitely bet Bubba before Blaney.
Yeah,
maybe even Bell and Marty. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I think Marty is the pivot, because I think you got to take Bubba and Reddick seriously.
I mean, if you look at the mile and a half races, probably last year, Bubba was really strong at the mile and a halves. He just has a problem finishing the deal.
Yep.
For whatever reason, whether it's a mistake that he makes or a mistake that his pit team makes, whatever it might be. But when you look at speed, he's there. I definitely would back him before probably those 3 other drivers.
Don't you feel like Bubba constantly is he's his own worst enemy, right? He's the first person to beat him up if he has a slow stop. He just beats himself up during a race.
I mean, if you had Denny Hamlin as your boss and Michael Jordan as your boss, like that's a lot of fucking pressure, man.
Well, yeah, I mean the expectations are high.
Yeah.
Yeah, a ton.
Yeah. I mean, especially like, I'd say that being black and when Michael Jordan being black and all that, and he wants to do well for that and all this and all that. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Bubba Wallace, man, and he shows it, and he knows.
Yeah,
that
he
there's a
definitely
lot of
wears
pressure
it on
him.
his sleeve, right?
Right, because like, what if Bubba loses this ride? What's Bubba gonna do?
I don't know, but it's midnight, so let's keep it moving.
Bubba brings in. I think he would get another ride. He brings in a lot of sponsorship.
Well,
but-
so if I look at the Vegas race from this year, Bubba did not have a good car. So I don't know how much you put the Vegas race. We talked about it with Kyle. We talked about it with Byron. If you're taking that same criteria, Bubba was 25th in green flag speeds at Vegas this year.
Yeah, but I don't mind him. And Bubba seems is one of them drivers where he does well for like three or four races, and then he has a hiccup for a race or two or whatever, and he comes back and does good for 3 or 4 races. So he's kind of streaky.
Okay. Your next person here is a really interesting one to me. Is Ross Chastain at 14-1. He was good last year at Texas. What do you guys think about Ross this week?
I don't know. I don't feel much on Ross right now. I think Jay likes him a little bit more, but too inconsistent. And, I just don't know if they have enough to beat HMS.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I would put HMS ahead of him. I would put Toyota ahead of him. But after that, I think he is in that mix of like Laney, him, RFK. Like I think he will be in contention around there. And if they happen to hit on a setup, maybe they'll be better than normal. But yeah, I think he could be in the mix. I think he's live.
You think he's more of a top 5 car than a winning contender?
Yeah, but sometimes he just shows up. But yeah, I think there's a better shot, a much better chance that he's a top 10 contender than he wins the race. But I do think he has the upside.
Do you think he has the upside to compete for a top 5?
Yeah.
Top 3?
Yeah.
Then you think he can win then?
Yeah. That's what I said. He has the upside. I think
his ceiling is a win, but it's
right.
Yeah.
Right. I think his ceiling is a win. He much better chance to be a
What's
top
his floor?
Last.
I think probably the back end of the top 10. I think he'll be there. Because like not every fucking Toyota gets in the top 10. Shit happens in a race. I think he'll be in the back end of the top 10.
Okay, well, so we'll just kind of keep it moving along. There's a group of drivers here right after Ross. It'll be Logano, Gibbs, and KB. They're all 15-1. I don't know anybody's like you talked about earlier. Like with Gibbs, there's so many strong cars in this race historically. Like, you can't run to bet Ty Gibbs at 15-1 here at this race.
I just like the kid's got. He could win every week with that equipment and his talent, but I mean, he just never. When he's good, he's just never good enough, or something happens. I just got to see the kid win. Or how about finish second? Can that happen before we're betting him fucking religiously? Like, I mean, but
you don't want to be on it or not on him when he finally does win.
Kyle Busch, I'd rather be fucking dead. I mean, he's lost.
Really?
Yeah, he's lost, bro. Come on. Logano could be a top 10 car, but that's it. I'd rather bet Buescher at 25 and Keselowski at 25 before I bet Busch and Logano at 20.
I think Logano really struggled here last year. He did okay. He was a top 10 car at Vegas this year, but he really struggled.
Where are you at on those guys, Coop? After that, nobody's got a shot to win this race.
Yeah, I can't bet Joey. Kyle Busch is interesting.
See, I'm glad Coop's there.
No, he's not.
Okay.
So I know you're going to say no, but don't you think Kyle Busch's ceiling is just as high as Ross Chastain's?
No.
Then why do the books feel that way?
I don't know. The books aren't right all the time.
Well, that's why you got to take advantage. KB had a good car here last year.
I think KB's sneaky this week.
The conditions aren't going to be close to the same, though.
I'm not going to run out and bet him or anything, but I think he can be sneaky. So who has the higher ceiling, Gibbs or Chastain?
You mean?
I mean, like.
No, don't. Which one has the higher ceiling? One or the other?
Do you mean Gibbs or do you mean Busch?
No, Gibbs.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify.
It's like that's such a tough question to answer. Like we've seen Chastain win a race, but we know Gibbs is guaranteed probably to be in better equipment, and we know the kid is talented. So like, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to answer.
I don't think it's tough. I think it's clear Gibbs.
Right.
Because if you look at this year's, report card,
right,
Gibbs is much better than Chastain.
He is, and he's an automatic. He's an automatic top 5 a lot of the time.
And I hope he top 5 this week. I got him at 150 to 1.
Just can't get over the hump.
And outside of Chastain's run at Phoenix last year for the championship race, he really has been driving different. Right, he's a lot more reserved than he was. He still might be the hardest pass in NASCAR, but he's not holding leads, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about any of these longer shots? Or you think you're just wasting time with these?
No, I don't think anybody's live.
You don't think Elliott or Bowman's live?
Well, they're not long shots. We talked about Elliott already.
Yeah, Elliott was in.
And Bowman,
Elliott's 12-1.
We talked about Bowman too when we talked about Elliott. I mean, could they of the cars that we didn't talk about? Do they have a chance to be live if HMS gives them a car like Larson or Byron? Yeah, for sure.
I mean, your Keselowski and Buescher are 30 and 33 to 1. That's kind of your cutoff, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see accidents, cautions, or do you think we're going to see a relatively green race?
I think if there's no tire issue, it's probably a relatively green race.
Yeah, I don't think we see anything like we did last year.
Yeah.
That race was a shit show.
I think it's probably going to be a lot of what we saw tonight, Coop. You're going to have to win it on pit road if you're up front. I mean, period.
I mean, then you think there's going to be a decent amount of cautions?
Well, I see.
I don't think we're going to see 12, but
there doesn't have to be a decent amount of cautions for those kind of stops to matter late in a race, though. That doesn't mean it has to be a caution-filled race.
Yeah, last year's race was just so over the place. Like I said, the track temp was so hot. It was 130 in the cars. They said it was 106 in the shade last year for the race. Like, they raced in September. We're obviously racing this one in April. I think I talked to you about it earlier in the week, Coop. It's only supposed to be like 84 for this race.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't expect the tires to have near the amount of carnage that we saw this year or last year. I would expect this to be a more straightforward race with the Cup drivers. Wasn't Vegas pretty straightforward? Wasn't there not a lot of cautions in that?
I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah,
Guy in chat
I'll look
wanted
Vegas
to know about Chase Briscoe 8,001. You know, have fun with that, buddy.
Nah, I don't like it, bud. Todd, pass. Top pit crews, Byron, I think.
HMS.
Yeah.
But wasn't Blaney in there in terms of like the quickest 4-tire stops?
Yeah, I think he was in the top 10.
I mean, you always got to account for that. I mean, that's how Blaney made up all his time last year's race because he did not have a strong car. He hated it. He came over the radio and said it was bad. So.
Gibbs, Denny's been strong this year. Bubba's been strong this year, I think. All right, we're out of here. We're going to go break down every single betting market right now real quick over on Patreon. We'll see you guys in 3 minutes. We're out. Later.